Module 1, Lesson 3, The Beauty and the Beast. Once upon a time, in a faraway country, there lived a merchant with his 3 daughters. The merchant was very rich indeed. He had more money than he needed, until a series of great misfortunes occurred. First, the merchant lost 2 of his biggest ships full of cargo in a great storm at sea. Then, he was forced to give up his lavish home in the city because he could no longer afford to pay for it. The merchant lost his fortune and was left with nothing. He told his daughters that they would have to move to a little cottage in the woods far from town, and work hard and live simply. The older 2 daughters complained bitterly, for they had grown accustomed to a life of luxury. But the youngest daughter, who was called Beauty, always tried to make the best of things. Several months later, the merchant heard that one of his ships, which he thought had been lost at sea, had in fact landed with a cargo of valuable goods to sell. As the merchant prepared to make a long trip to the city to claim his goods, he asked his daughter what he might bring them when he returned. The eldest daughter asked for a fancy gown. The second daughter asked for a diamond necklace. But Beauty, who had plenty of things she wished for, but none that her father's money could buy, replied to be polite. "Please bring me a rose, for I have not seen one since we came here, and I love them so much." When the merchant finally reached his ship, he found that most of his goods had been stolen. He sold what remained and made just enough money to buy a dress for his eldest daughter and a necklace for his second daughter, and then he set off for home. On the way home, snow began to fall. It covered the road and made it hard to see. The wind blew so hard it almost knocked the merchant off his horse. He was worried that he might get lost in the blizzard. The merchant decided that he should stop at the next house he came to and wait there until the storm passed. Eventually he came upon a large palace with lights blazing. He knocked, but no one answered. He found that the door was unlocked, so he opened it and peered in. "Hello," he called out, but there was no answer. He stepped into the foyer and brushed the snow off his coat. Curious, yet hesitant, the merchant slowly made his way into a large dining hall. To his surprise, a fire was burning in the fireplace, and a little table had been set with a scrumptious meal, just right for one person. "Hello," he called again. "Is anybody here?" Again, there was no answer. The merchant inspected the food. "Is someone eating this food?" he asked. "Would you mind if I had a few bites? I have been riding in a bitter snowstorm," he continued. When there was no reply, the merchant decided that he would have a few bites of food, and then look for his gracious host. After he had eaten, he set off to find the owner of the house to thank him. He wandered through rooms on the ground floor, but neither master nor servant appeared. At last he stepped outside into a beautiful garden. The merchant was astonished to discover the garden was in full bloom, even though it was the middle of winter and most of the countryside was covered in a thick blanket of snow. In the garden, birds chirped, flowers bloomed, the air was sweet and balmy. The man explored the garden till he came upon a row of beautiful rose bushes. He remembered that Beauty had asked him to bring her a rose. He reached out to pluck a rose, but just as the stem broke, he heard a loud roar behind him. "Who told you that you might gather roses in my garden?" said a low, gruff voice. The startled merchant turned around and saw a fearsome creature who was half man and half beast. "What?" said the beast. "Is it not enough that I have given you dinner and a place to wait out the storm? You also steal my roses?" "Please forgive me," said the merchant, falling to his knees. "I tried to find you to thank you for the meal. I'll pay you for it if you like. As for the rose, I only wanted it for my youngest daughter, Beauty. Her only wish when I left her was that I return with a rose for her. Your garden is so magnificent. I did not think you would miss a single rose." "You are very ready with excuses and flattery," the beast said, "but that will not save you from the punishment you deserve. "Oh, forgive me," said the merchant. "It is not for my, if not for my own sake, then for the sake of my daughters. If I do not return home, there will be no one to support them." There was a long pause, and then the Beast spoke again. "I will forgive you," he said, "on one condition. You must send one of your daughters to live with me. Go and see if any of them is brave enough and loves you enough to save you from a life in my castle. If one of them will come, you may send her in your place. Otherwise, you must come yourself and face your punishment." When the storm was over, the merchant returned home. He gave his daughters their presents, a gown for the eldest, a diamond necklace for the second, and a rose for Beauty. The older sisters were delighted, but Beauty could sense that something was wrong. "Father," she said, "why do you sigh so deeply when you gave me that beautiful rose?" "In a few days I will tell you," said the merchant, "but for now let's just enjoy being together again."